What's up, my brothers? We've got a sponsored topic today. It was requested by a guy that wants to know basically the best way he can have kids without exposing himself to too much risk. He's seen what's happened to a number of guys go through the divorce machine. He's seen a few of my videos. So we'll hop straight into this. He's a successful entrepreneur. He's a Canadian dude. I'll just read straight off the screen. He says, you have an amazing source of information, rundown. Dad is a typical beta blue-pilled male. Parents split around 11. Dad was not in the picture much. Lived with mom. Did not take a victim mentality or become weak. I stepped up and took more of a protective role to my mother and older sister, especially when I got to be 13, 14. There's a little bit of a hint there, brother, of the old Captain Save a Woman mentality. It's not a problem for you from what I saw with the links that you gave me and what I'm going to read after this, but just as a heads up, that's kind of the foundation of it. He goes, fast forward now, so he's 35, have had the same mentality my entire life, getting stronger each day and focusing on what is within my control. He says, I have multiple businesses. There's a YouTube link below to which I've already watched the interview, so I'm not going to get into that, but definitely can co-sign what he's claiming here. And I've been an entrepreneur since my early 20s. Net worth is now approximately 13 to 15 million. In best possible shape I can physically and be mentally. Train 6 days a week. Do not miss a day ever. 10% body fat, less. Am confident with myself in game. I do not even run game. I'm real with them all and tell them how it is. They can stay or they can go. And that indifference is a strength in my view. Totally agree. It's comply or goodbye. I've talked about that many times before. There's a lot of sound bites like that in my book, actually. If you haven't got it, pinned in the top comment, The Unplugged Alpha, grab it. It's on Amazon. It's a super easy and cheap read. Let's carry on through here. He says at 24 to 25, he got in a long-term relationship for almost 9 years. It's clear to see this girl was showing signs of very extreme conditions like bipolar. I've concluded that I stayed so long because unfortunately those highs and lows can be addicting psychologically. At an unconscious level, especially when you're exposed to that as a child, I reached that conclusion while in the LTR and gave me the balls to end it. Wasn't easy. I do not regret the experience. I do feel like I dodged a bullet as I have no children with her and did not live with her. Okay, good. That's a mistake a lot of guys make. I mean, first of all, one, you don't want to get into an LTR in your 20s, which you obviously learned was a mistake. And part of the reason why you don't want to get into an LTR at a younger age, guys, or live with a woman is you can invite the wrong woman into your life very, very easily. You know, when he's talking about being involved with a bipolar woman, like anybody with a personality disorder, especially in your 20s, and you don't know what it is, you don't know how to recognize it, you can spend a lot of time bending the knee to her, doing things to try to make her happy. Thankfully, this guy did not live with her, give up any financial resources, or have kids with her. So he managed to get out relatively unscathed. So that is, there's a lesson there. Pay very, very close attention when I say these things because they do matter. So anyway, he dodges his bullet. He says he has no social media. I do not need it for any reason. I grind my businesses, lift, and focus on my hobbies, friends, spinning plates. Never had an issue attracting girls that I find highly attractive. Been spinning plates. And for those of you that are new to the channel, all that means is just dating several women in a non-monogamous basis, which is what you should be doing in your 20s. If you're vetting for anything more than that, we can talk about that towards the end when I get into the other details, but that's all that means. I'm honest with all the girls and they still stay. I do have a desire to have children, and my question is the following, as I value your opinion and want to know your thoughts. As someone that is aware of female nature, what do you think is the optimal strategy to have children? I'm fairly against marriage for obvious reasons, but want to be a parent and involved. A long-term relationship, living with a girl isn't ideal either. My thought would be, it would be better than not living with a girl at all with children. So question unrelated to vid. I was hoping to get the name of your endocrinologist. I'd like to get my T levels checked. I'm not showing any signs of low T. But I owe it to myself. Okay, so let me hit that. First of all, you can check your testosterone online basically for peanuts. I've done a collab before with Let's Get Checked. I'll pin in the top comment the link to check your own testosterone levels, and I'll give you my coupon code. I can't remember what it is, but I'll dig it up and pin it in the top comment so you don't miss it. So you can do that yourself. Check that first before you worry about getting testosterone replacement therapy. So to your question more specifically, which is what this request is built around, is how do you have kids without exposing yourself to risk? And in Canada, it's very risky. Ask me how I know. I've been married. I've been through the divorce machine. I've coached hundreds upon hundreds of guys that have tried to exit very difficult relationships with very difficult women. Many of them have had personality disorders, like he's explained. So it's really, really important to spend some time vetting. And vetting doesn't solve it all, because people's behavior can change over time. Like, they always say the woman you marry is never the same woman that you divorce, right? So you meet her at 25, you get married, you pop out your 3.1 kids and, white picket fence, station wagon, blah, blah, blah. By 35, she wants out. She's not going to be the same chick you married. There's always going to be a dramatic change in her behavior. So let me go and run down some main points, because this year I've hinted to this in some other videos, and I've talked about it from an overview, but this year I'm going to be putting a course together, because this is by far one of the most common emails or requests that I get from guys is, how do I vet a woman for wife stock? How do I find the right chick to have kids with? And while I'm vehemently opposed to marriage and having kids in this environment, a lot of guys still want to do it. I've already got, my kid out of the way, so I'm fine. So I get the desire. Like, I understand why guys want to do it. So I'm going to put together a paid course, which will be out, I don't know when, in the next few months or something like that. But it's going to cover in elaborate detail, in many, many modules and videos, everything that you need to do to minimize the risk as much as possible. So if that's something you're interested in the future, when I've got all the content out, get on my email list, also pinned in the top comment below, so that you don't miss the announcement. But here's the main point, so I can give this guy some value, because we've got a total Chad, a guy that's got a lot of financial resources. He's worth multiples of millions of dollars, and he's still relatively young. So he's basically saying, how do I have kids without screwing it up? You're already doing a lot of the right things right now. So spinning plates is incredibly important, because it creates contrast. So that's the first thing I would say. You can't spot crappy fruit from the good fruit. If you went to the grocery store and there was the table, where all the oranges were supposed to be, and there's just one there, you have no idea if that's the best one, the worst one, or somewhere in between. The only way that you can tell when you go to the grocery store and you pick up that orange, you touch it, you smell it, you look at it, if it's rotten, if it's got green fuzz on it, it's a piece of garbage, because you can compare it to the other ones that are the proper color and still fresh. That's why spinning plates matters. You can't spot the crap women from the better women unless you date them simultaneously in a non-monogamous fashion. You should never, ever get into a long-term relationship or lean into a potential scenario where you invite a woman into your life to have kids because she's the first one that gave you any kind of attention. This guy is, I'm going to just say, like, he's probably in the top 2 to 3 percentile of men in North America because of his income, what he looks like, and what he's accomplished with his life. He's very, very successful. Again, multiple businesses. I think he said his net worth was like $14 million. So it's super important to, in that environment, spin plates. Other guys that haven't achieved that much in their life, they shouldn't even be looking at women, to be honest with you. They should be laying the groundwork for the future, for themselves. If they're in their 20s, just, work on yourself, work on your business if that's what you're creating, or your career, but you don't let women distract you. At his age, I get what he's doing, so spin plates is the first thing. Second thing is, and this is going to be difficult to hear for some guys because we all want, big boobs and a nice round bum and a hot chick, obviously, and youth that comes with that. But you're going to have to resign yourself to the fact that because women are hypergamous, and all that means is they prefer to, they don't always, but on a balance of probabilities, for the most part, they'll date across and up on the socioeconomic scale. And all that means is, if you're a guy like this who's making millions of dollars a year, it's quite common for guys like that to wife up somebody that might be making less than $100,000 a year doing whatever the job is. Front desk reception at the insurance company, teacher, an accountant, I don't know. But that's typically what goes down. And because of that, you're exposing yourself to some risk. So for a woman to be satisfied with you on a long-term basis, to want to stick with you, to raise the kids with you, she has to feel like she's done the best that she can. So you will be the best that she can do, obviously. So the point that I'm making here is her sexual marketplace value has to be lower than yours. So if you're a 10 out of 10, let's just say this guy's like a 9 out of 10. Like, he's not going to be perfect, but he's right up there. So if he's a 9 out of 10, he's going to have to date like a 7 or 8 out of 10, or maybe a 9 out of 10 if he wants to expose himself to some greater risk. But, to the point of, he doesn't like marriage, or he doesn't want to live with a girl. here's the truth at the end of the day. If you're planning on having kids, the best environment to do that in is in a two-parent household. It's not two men raising a child or two women, raising a child. It's a father and a mother raising a child together. And if you want to produce productive, useful children for society, that's the best model that I've seen. I haven't seen anything that works better than that. I haven't seen any data that suggests that, single fathers that go and, pay for a womb to, take care of the kid, and then he buys the child or signs a contract or something. Like, I've heard all kinds of crazy strategies that guys have come up with. Nothing trumps the traditional father, mother, living together, raising the kids together in a loving sort of way. There's other models that you can create, but I haven't seen them work any better. So that's why I'm referring to that specifically with this breakdown here. Next thing I would say is choose a woman that chooses you. So a lot of guys go chasing women that don't have genuine burning desire for them. They're just indifferent, or they're kind of lukewarm, about the guy that they're dating. You want to make sure that she, like, with the way that he describes his current dating life, because he's spinning plates, you'll notice that he'll say that I'm spinning plates. They know about it. And I don't care if they don't like it. It's either comply or goodbye. So he already has that mentality, but I'm making sure that I point that out because it's important that that you understand that genuine burning desire matters. In my book, The Unplugged Alpha, I have an entire chapter dedicated to that, how to gauge it, what it looks like, and why that is incredibly important. But I'm just going to go over all these points because I've got many more, and I try to get these done in about 20 minutes. So again, choose a woman that chooses you. Next thing is frame tests. And you've got to make sure that she's willing to operate in your frame. And all that means is she's a complement to your life, not the focus. Okay, so she supports your purpose, your mission, all of those things, and she complements your everyday life, but she doesn't complicate it. Okay, so questions that I would ask is she moldable? If you meet her and she's got shoulder length hair and you prefer longer hair, will she grow her hair for you? If she's got piercings in places that you're not fond of, let's say, I don't know, nose, upper lip or something like that, and some people will be like, you can't tell us what to do, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? If you're making $14 million a year, or if that's what your net worth is, I'm going to be telling you some things that you might have to accept and adopt. So are there piercings that you don't like? Nose ring? Take it out. I'm not having you show up to family events or the lake house, with my group or my network or whatever, with something like that. So these are some basic tests that you have to question: is she moldable to some degree? Figure out what it is. Will she do like cook meals that you like? Will she take on an IED? Will she grow her hair if you like it longer that way, sort of thing like that. Nothing dramatic, nothing like over the top, but just some basic things to make sure she's operating in your frame. She's going to fall in love with you when she's doing stuff with you. Believe it or not, people don't always like this one, but one of the tests that I like to give women, if you're in the dating phase, it's going to be like, she's coming over, ask her to pick something up on the way over. Hey, I'll be there at 7. She might text you. You can just respond with, great, do me a favor, swing by the liquor store and grab a bottle of Gewürztraminer, 19, blah, 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 whatever. And, see if she's going to comply with those requests. It's important that she's in your frame if it is somebody that you're going to be vetting for wife stock, for mother type of material. You want to assign feminine tasks to her as well, because a guy like this, and again, I've watched a long interview with him talking about what he does in his business. I've clicked the links, so I know what he's all about. He's a strong, virtuous, alpha male type of guy. You want to make sure that you assign feminine tasks to a chick like that. Is she going to take on the burden of, meal prep, things like domestic chores, that mothers would typically do? Because I'm assuming you don't need her extra $50,000 a year income from the insurance desk at the front of the company, because you already make good bank and you want her to raise the kids. You want her to be useful around the house. Can she be a decent homemaker for something like that? Another very good question or test that you can assign to her is the zombie apocalypse test. And I like this one because you can ask her, and this is in the later stages of vetting. So you're spinning plates. She's already passed a lot of your tests. She's complied. She's feminine. She doesn't complicate your life. She's a complement to your life. Ask her a question like, hey, what would you do if the zombie apocalypse came? Like, where would you go? And if she says something like, oh, I would go to my brother's house whatever, and meet up with my cousins, and we would like go and lock down over there and set up the sandbags and the machine gun turrets or whatever. She's obviously not looking at you as her best option and her best choice when it comes to conflict and difficult times. You want to know that she's going to rely on you. Like if you don't want her to take your kids and run off with them or get divorced at some point in the future, with the zombie apocalypse test, she's going to be like, oh, I'm locking down with you. Like we have everything that we need here. I've got food in the basement. I've got canned whatever. You've got the guns, whatever that narrative looks like. But she wants to lock down with you because she sees you as the best option for her for basically protection and provisioning. In a long-term relationship, there's lots of data that shows that, for her to form a healthy monogamous connection to you, she's got to see you as her best choice, her apex alpha, if you will. So moving on, there's a few other things I'm going to leave for the course, but I'm trying to get through this because I got a bunch more. You want to be concerned about her past because she will be very concerned about your future. So if her past is a train wreck, she's made a lot of bad choices. She's got multiple abortions behind her. Maybe she's got a huge notch count. One of the things that I tell guys is, the difference between girl A and girl B, with girl A maybe losing her virginity at 20 with a notch count of like 2 or 3 guys, she's going to be a far better choice on a long-term basis than a woman that lost her virginity at like 13 or 14 and has a notch count of 100 or 200, for example. A woman like that doesn't have the same ability to pair bond in a long-term way, in a healthy long-term way with a guy. Woman A does. That's just data. It's science. There's nothing that I can do to change that. Some people don't like that, but hey, you want to be as concerned about her past as she is of your future. Another thing is her use of social media. So if you see her using social media on a regular basis, seeking attention from other guys, you got to stop that. Like that's an area that you got to put your foot down. There's a before the train wreck on my channel. I'm going to put a card up on the top right up over here for you to watch how to break the horse, basically how to get her off social media. But make sure that she's not using it on a consistent basis to seek the attention of other guys, because what she's basically saying is, buddy, you're not the best that I can do. I'm going to keep posting these sexy pictures on a daily basis, soliciting likes and comments and all these other, things happening where they slide into her DMs. Attention is the coin of the realm for women. And you want her attention on you and your purpose and your family if that's what you plan on raising. So this is an excellent test to consider. The other thing is don't pedestalize her. One of the biggest mistakes I see guys doing often is they will on just random dates, like not even on like Valentine's Day or something silly, but on a regular basis, they'll post something of the two of them together and, my much, much better half, and we've been together for so many years, blah, 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 and I couldn't have done this, that without her. And if you look at her profile, it's crickets. It's just pictures of her posing, sexy posts. And then he's putting her up on a pedestal and praising her on a consistent basis. You want to make sure that you're super careful with that. And again, I'm going to get into that in a lot more detail when I get the course details out. Alignment, shared beliefs around money, self-care, friends, and children. You want to make sure you're fully aligned. The talk is another thing. You want to make sure she brings it up. It's not, hey, babe, where do we stand? I'd like to have kids and be in a relationship with you. Spin plates, date non-monogamously, let the cream rise to the top. At some point, these women are going to start being like, hey, Rich, dig your vibe. We've been together for 6 months, 8 months, 12 months. If this talk, by the way, shows up in like 30 days, big red flag, okay? But let's say 6 months down the road, she's like, hey, Rich, dig your vibe. We've been dating. I know that, you're seeing other people, but I don't want that anymore. And I just want you for me. And I want to know that, we're in a relationship and I'd like to introduce you to my family and take you up to the lake house and Christmas and blah, 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 blah. Okay. She needs to bring up the talk, not you. Let her bring up the talk. It's super important that you let her bring the talk up. You don't bring it up. Okay. Straightforward. The other thing is red flags. There's a free chapter that you can get from my book, which is pinned below when you get on my email list. You can download that. It's 20 red flags. You want to make sure you vet for those and you try to stay away from as many of those as possible. Or just grab my book, The Unplugged Alpha. It's available on Amazon. It's got that and tons more material. I've given away a ton on this one, so I hope that this makes a lot more sense to you. Get started there. And do those basic things. It's probably going to be the biggest choice that you're going to make in your entire life. If you're going to have kids and you're vetting for wife stock or mother stock, You want to make sure that you invite the proper woman into your life that's going to be a compliment. But even with that, my friend, my brother, I'm going to tell you this: women always reserve the right to change their mind at any given time. So the woman that you have kids with today may not be the same woman that you're with 10, 12, 15 years down the road. Things can change. So there's certain tests and frame that you need to establish and manage over the length of that long-term relationship. Nobody teaches guys this today. It's pretty in-depth and intensive, when you get right down the rabbit hole and you start to look at all these things that you have to consider. But I get it. You want to have kids. That's why you're on this planet, to scatter seed. I totally understand. The problem is just in places like Canada or many Western countries, they're pretty hostile, towards fathers. And guys don't do particularly well when they go through the divorce machine. And if you don't believe me, go to a family courtroom at any place in any part of the Western world and see how dads get treated when they're trying to work out some kind of a fair custody arrangement to have kids. I mean, the whole point of having kids is so you can raise them and so you can influence them. I mean, they've got your name, they've got your DNA, but if you expose yourself to risk by inviting a crazy woman into your life who's potentially going to, leave you at some point in the future, or maybe fly off the handle, custody orders are still given to women 80% of the time. So the entire benefit that you're looking to receive by fathering children is completely removed. Ask me how many guys I've talked to that have gone through the divorce machine that see, mom's new boyfriend spending more time with his own kids than he gets to. All he sees that happens is, he's the ATM. He's pumping out the money every single month, and he's watching her alienate him from his own children while her new boyfriend spends more time with them than you do. And there's other problems that happen with that as well. I'll get into at some other point in a different video, but you get the point, right? Be very, very careful. This is an incredibly important decision. If I can add anything else, I'd also say read Sean Smith's Tactical Guide to Women. It's another good resource. Wrap it up on that note. Have an amazing time. Smash the thumbs up. Leave a comment below if you guys have any other advice beyond that. And if you're interested in grabbing that course when I release it later on this year, it's going to be huge, huge value, the amount of stuff that I'm going to put into it. If you like what I've talked about here, you're going to love what I put on that. Get on my email list pinned below. See you guys later. Peace.